Welcome to this video on Georgia's Common Core Standards for solving for a specified variable. All right, let's just jump right into seeing why would I use this. I have a circumference formula here that is somewhat well known. Circumference equals 2 pi r, and that's great if I was going to plant some bushes around a tree and I wanted those bushes to be 4 feet from the tree. Then I might use this formula to solve for the circumference. I would just plug in the 4 in for the radius and I can find out what the circumference is, and it turns out I think that comes out to about 25 feet. So I knew that I was going to create a circle that was 25 feet around this tree. But maybe somebody else says, oh, you know what, I want the circumference to be that's too big, I need it to be 20 feet. So they're telling me what the circumference is, and now I need to find out, okay, well, how far away from the tree do I need to plant the bushes? So what I really want, instead of this formula, I want one that's solved for r. So 2 pi r equals the circumference. I need to solve this for r, and in this case it's relatively simple. I'm going to divide both sides by 2 pi, pi being about 3.14, and it cancels out over here. So I have a new formula that says that the radius is equal to the circumference divided by 2 pi. All right, and that's just a real world example. Believe it or not, used that in my yard one time to figure out a different formula for a specified variable, the radius. Okay, so now if somebody tells me what the circumference is, I can calculate and find out what the radius is going to be. All right, well, solving for a variable is a lot like solving for x. I'm going to start with something that you're probably familiar with. Here's 5x plus 10 equals 20. Well, I'm going to solve this, basically I need to isolate the variable. All right, isolate the variable of course being x. And I used, in the past we used this thing called opposite operations. Opposite operations, which means that if it was plus 10, I'm doing minus 10. Okay, if it was minus 10, I'm doing plus 10. And by the way, I use this BS rule, which is both sides. Careful how you say it. Both sides. Whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other side. So if I'm going to subtract 10 from this side, and what I mean by side is where the equal sign, that's the balancing point of this equation. So if I subtracted 10 over here, I have to subtract 10 over here. I'm left with 5x. These canceled out, and I've got 10 on this side. Okay, then I'm going to do opposite operations. This is 5 times x, so I'm going to do divided by 5. So I'm doing the opposite. That reduces it to 1 or cancels that out, and x is equal to, and I have to do it to both sides. So 10 divided by 5 is 2. My value is 2 for x. Now you guys knew that. So let's take a look and use that same basic set of operations, but in a different context, solving for y over here. We'll see I've got y and I've got x. I've got two different variables, so I'm solving for a specified variable. Well, it says minus 2x over here, so I'm going to do plus 2x. I end up with 4y, the 2x and negative 2x cancel each other out. I've got 16 plus 2x, or 2x plus 16. You can write it either way. I'm kind of leaning to write it this way, getting in that slope-intercept form. And then I've got to get this y completely by itself. Oh, by the way, some people get a little confused here and say, okay, 16 plus 2x, that's 18x, or 18. But those are not like terms, so I couldn't combine them, so this was the best I could do. And then I'm going to divide by 4. Do I divide just this one by 4, or just this one by 4, or both? Both, okay? 4 divided by 4 over here leaves that as y. And then that 2 over 4, I could write that as 2 over 4. X plus, well, 16 divided by 4 is 4. And of course I could simplify this a little bit and write y equals 1/2 x plus 4. So that's my final answer. All right. Let's jump over here, another one that's kind of an XY type thing, and now it's saying solve for x. So this time I want to isolate x, so I've got to get this y term off of here. It was minus, now it's going to be plus. Again, let's see, I've got, these are not like terms, so I can't really combine them, so I'm going to say 7y plus 21, or I could have put 21 plus 7y. I prefer to write it in this form. Variable first, and then I'm going to divide both sides by 3. I'm dividing both sides by 3. That is x equals, well, See how that's 3 for each one of those. So 7/3 y plus, well, 21 divided by 3 is 7. So that's solving it for x. Now solving for L in this next one. Now, by the way, you can pause this and try it yourself, and then restart and see what you get. Solving for L, well, this one's pretty simple. It's just L times W. So to get L by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by W. The W cancels out. L equals A divided by W. That's area equals length times width. Or, you know what? If you want to know the length of something and you know the area and the width, you can use that formula. So see, what we're creating is a new formula to solve for a different variable. Here we want to solve for L. There's L. Let me get this this plus 2W onto the other side. So I'm going to minus 2W to both sides. I get 2L equals P minus 2W, or negative 2W plus P. They're going to divide by 2. I'm dividing both of those by 2. So L equals P minus 2W over 2. I could stop there, or I could split it out. It's P over 2, or 1 half P, minus 2W over 2. And see, these reduce. That's one reason I might split it out. So I get 1 half P minus W is the final answer as well. Okay, so it could have been expressed either way. I kind of like this one. I think this is the more simplified version. But all right, last couple of examples. Again, you can pause the video at this point, try them yourself, see how you do. And here we're solving for y. So I'm going to try to isolate y. A lot of people want to divide that 3 out of there first. I don't want to do that. It's kind of, the order of operations, we're working backwards really. PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents. Well, when you undo stuff, you kind of work backwards, and you're going to deal with the addition, subtraction, then the multiplication and division, and so forth on the start of these. So I'm subtracting off this 5x part. Subtracting the 5x, I get 3y equals negative 5x plus 18. And now I'm going to do the division part. So I finished with that. I'm going to divide by 3. I'm going to divide the entire thing by 3. One way to represent that is to show it, negative 5 over 3x. I'm going to leave that as a fraction. Some people might want to turn that into a mixed number, but we tend to leave it like that. And then 18 over 3, which of course leads to negative 5/3 x plus 6. I'm just reducing or doing the division right here. 3 goes into 18 6 times, 3 goes into 3 once, and it reduces to 6. That's your answer. All right, this one a little more complicated. We got an x sitting here in the middle of the parentheses, and I can't break into those parentheses first, so I need to get rid of this 5 on the outside. Do I subtract 5? No. Does it say 5 plus or plus 5? No, it doesn't. So I can't subtract that 5. It's 5 what? What do these parentheses mean? Times. So I'm going to divide this side by 5 and divide this side by 5. That cancels out or reduces to 1. I'm left with 3x minus 2 equals, well, 15 over 5 is the same thing as, 5 goes in that once and goes in that 3 times, so it reduces to 3y. Then so I got rid of that multiplication. Now I've broken into the parentheses and I can deal with what's in there. So I'm just going to plus 2 to both sides. Plus 2, so I've got 3x. Oops, handwriting's not so good today. 3x equals 3y plus 2. And then finally I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So x equals 3y over 3 plus 2 over 3. And then those reduce, so x equals y plus 2/3. Some people may have elected to kind of leave it this way, but you can see that the 3 reduced with the y, so it's probably better to write it like that. All right, this is the you try section. You try these. Notice what it's asking you to solve for each time. It's not always x, okay? So you watch out for that. Solving for a specified variable. And then turn that into your teacher and see if you got these right. I'll leave it with you. Thank you.